All right, Rodney, what's going on in the world of professional wrestling?
Let me ask you a question now, Brent. I know that you're an expert on these kinds of things, and I want to ask you a question concerning booking of a arena. Okay, now, if you're going to go to an arena and you're going to book the town, right? You're going to book this arena, uh, and you know you're going to go there multiple times during the year. How many times would you get the dates? When you got the dates, how many dates would you get? Would you only get one at a time, or would you get for the up to maybe 1 to 3 years in dates? Which one would you do? Would you
Yeah,
just do it?
if I was going to be in business, yes, I would. If I thought that Baltimore, Maryland, I could run 4 times a year, I'd make sure
Hmm.
I got those
Hmm.
for the next 3 years. Yes.
Right. And so now AEW is now accused, or WWE, which is typical in the wrestling business, not only that, entertainment business in general, are getting contracts with the arenas now, in which they have a 2 weeks before, 2 weeks after. And AEW's have, and Eric Bischoff said that WWE did that to him. This is typical business. Okay. Many arenas have the same stipulation. Certain events, certain similar events couldn't play 2 weeks before or 2 weeks after. It's that standard at a lot of arenas across the nation. And for whatever reason, Mr. Bischoff didn't understand it. And apparently, AEW doesn't understand how to book arenas either. They think, I guess, you get them one at a time, or you take a dartboard, maybe you stick a map on the wall, and you throw darts to see what town you're going to run next. You need to make sure that from my opinion, you need to map out a plan. Your plan should include what towns you're going to run for the year, not only this year, but the next year, and then into the future in 3 years. You're going to go to Chicago. You're going to go to, like you're saying, Baltimore and Philadelphia. You're going to hit those towns. So go ahead and get all the dates you can, get the dates that you need, and then you don't have to worry about is Vince McMahon or is the WWE going to have a 2 week before, 2 week after. If you book your towns far enough advance, that has no bearing on your business.
So
That's
you're
just
telling me
our
Eric Bischoff did not understand while
Eric.
he was promoting World
Mhm.
Championship Wrestling that he needed to book these towns ahead of time? Don't he know
Apparently,
territories knew that, hey, we need to book the next year on Mondays. We're going to run Birmingham, Alabama. What do they do? Now we're only going to book it from week to week. So if you can book somebody in there, do it. What kind of morons are running these wrestling companies? Come
well, we know that WCW did in fact wait to the last minute to book the towns.
yeah.
They did wait it. Dad went and booked a whole tour of Alabama because they didn't have any towns booked for whatever reason. It's absolutely, to me, you're not forward thinking. You need to have your game plan, not only just booking, but your towns in order as well. And I just thought the whole thing, and it came from Eric Bischoff, and now this is going to be another thing that Tony Khan runs around. Looks like he's the Geico caveman running around. Me don't understand why we can't get the buildings. What the heck? What the heck, Tony? Get out and book them. The fact of the matter is, the thing about it is, and all of this was about WCW and Bischoff wanting to run Madison Square Garden. You simply don't. You're not going to run Madison Square Garden.
No,
You're
that was
not going to
Vince
run
McMahon.
Madison. No, Vince Senior locked that in years ago. But yeah, you would think so, Richard. But apparently, this is not what they're doing, and now they're complaining. And Nick Khan, I understand, not Nick, but Nick Khan, WWE is now wanting the 2 weeks before, 2 weeks after. That's standard. That is standard, and most arenas already have that clause in every contract, every rental contract.
When we were booking circuses, we could not go in any entertainment event that was close to a circus. And that meant if we were booking, if they had Sesame Street in there, they
Any
would not
children's show,
allow us.
yeah,
And that was back then, it was 30 days before and 30 days after
yeah,
that they wouldn't
yeah.
allow us to book. And we guess what we did? If we couldn't run Birmingham at the Battle Auditorium, we went to the State Fair Arena. And if we couldn't run the State Fair Arena, then we went to the Birmingham Jefferson Civic. So no way, we didn't really go to Birmingham Jefferson because they had that kind of sold up. But you could either go to the Battle Auditorium or you could go to if WWE decides they want to run that 6 times a year, then guess what, Tony? You're not going in there. So if you won't think you want to run Birmingham, Alabama, or you want to run those towns, book the towns, put the deposits up, and shut your mouth.
Go and book the towns in advance. Exactly right. You know you're going to Chicago. You know you want to go to Boston and to, I think we're in Hartford last week. You know you want to go to the big towns. They basically run it. And from what my understanding is that their house shows for AEW is doing terribly. They're not doing well at all.
Before nobody knows they're going to be there.
Well, and it's possible that they're not sending any of the major names in it either. They're not sending any of these quote big names to be on the show. I saw where the champion, AEW champion, you remember him, our good friend and fellow comrade. You know the one I'm talking about. This guy here. You remember him? The pickles, the pickle sucker. This guy here wasn't working an AEW show, but he was in some little rinky-dink town working. What in the world? He's your champion, and he's in some rinky-dink town. And he's working instead of working your own house show. What in the world is that about? I don't get it. I don't get it at all. But yeah, this was one of the big things. And again, it's the WWE's being mean to the others. They're trying to, not only are they trying to, or for what the article said, not only are they trying to knock out AEW, but New Japan as well. That's the way the game's played, people. That's the way the game's played.
Well,
if you want to book the town, get it there in advance.
Eric Bischoff, if you knew how to run a wrestling company, you wouldn't have had that problem. But no, you told World Championship Wrestling and Turner Broadcast that you knew how to run a wrestling company, and you had one angle, one gimmick, and never had nothing else behind it.
And if you'll notice, did they really go to Minneapolis? That was Bischoff's area. Did they ever go there? No, he was too busy doing as AEW doing, have their focus on WWE and dropping the ball.
They were watching what they were running, and that's where they wanted to run.
Exactly. Trying to capitalize. And I understand in the circus business, it's called dating. You're trying to date the event. And when you, in other words, you're trying to capitalize off of another person's organization's advertising and off of their event coming up. So, and we had them do that to Cole Brothers over and over again. We had these little rinky-dink circuses come through, and they've tried to date us and get there beforehand. And we'd get on TV and on radio and say, I just want to let everybody know that the circus is not going to be here until next week. And those little circuses stayed away from us from now on. Because I went, they after we got on TV or got on our radio and used our media partners in the market, they got away and left us alone. They didn't try to run against us or try to go in a week before. They tried that in Bristol, Virginia. One of the circuses, little small circuses did. And they said they would never run in the same town before or after Cole Brothers again.
But do you think that WWE really knows what the crap AEW is doing?
No.
Or do they really care?
No.
Do you think WWE really cared anything about once they were on the winning side of that with that deal, and they knew they were never going to go back down again? They had got the people, they were there. They knew, listen, Eric Bischoff, you took our crap. And yes, you packaged them really well, but after a while, they're going to understand their crap. And that's exactly what happened. And after Hulk Hogan, after they started to get rid of Hulk Hogan out of that, they really had nothing because Hulk Hogan was the star and all that.
They took it and instead of taking the opportunity to get other new wrestlers over, trying to get other wrestlers to take their place, they made all their investment in old hat. And in the end, they had nobody new to introduce. Yep. Vince learned his lesson. WWE's learned his lesson. Triple H learned their lesson. That's the reason they have NXT and Level Up. And they're moving. And a lot of those guys are successful. Let's just be the Austin Theory. That's success right there. I have to admit, I'll give it to them. They did the right thing with Dominic Mysterio. I might not have done exactly what they did, but it has worked. They still don't have a finish for him. And they're getting ready to push him, I guess, against Cody next. But he's done well. The crowd reaction is absolutely perfect. I believe he gets more boos than anybody I've ever seen up there. So it's awesome, and congratulations to him.
He is the classic heel.
He sure is, and he begs off like the others, like classic heels do. One of the few, and Finn Balor, he will do it occasionally. And my understanding is they're going to turn Damian Priest. I'm not sure why that is. They just got through switching him. Just what was it, last year anyway? And they're planning on, I guess, thinking that he's going to be a big single. Possibly, it's I'm not going to say that everything they do it works, but here lately they have been, I mean, hitting the mark on everything they've been doing. So congratulations to them for sure.